right, we are back at Seattle Children's for a couple days. Mason had 2 appointments. The first one from his all-day appointment we had a couple weeks ago, I guess a month ago now. The rehab specialist we talked to last month referred him to a neurodevelopmental specialist here at Seattle Children's, just to kind of get the conversation started about hyperactivity, how does ADHD play a part in Duchenne, and kind of his symptoms that he's experiencing now at age 5. What's hyperactivity, what's DMD, what's steroids, what's being a 5-year-old is kind of what we're trying to figure out. We want Mason to have the best opportunity for his upbringing and childhood, and that also starts with what's going on in his brain. So she did say the sooner we can pinpoint any ADHD or hyperactivity or autism, anything like that, the sooner the better. That way we can work on him growing up to have all the tools that he needs. So all the signs are there for ADHD. Is very, very, very typical for DMD boys to have some of those disorders just due to the lack of dystrophin in the brain. Can cause some of those autism spectrum symptoms and ADHD symptoms, and seeing what we can do to help maintain that so he's not feeling so overstimulated and overwhelmed in certain situations. They were able to schedule that appointment at the same time as eye appointment today, so we were able to get both of those done. And we're back.
See how tall you are.
What's your one takeaway from the appointment we had this morning?
There's a few takeaways, but one of them is really cool how we're able to get into like a parental management and kind of classes and or kind of some books that we can read and educate ourselves more on how we can best help Mason and Jack in their challenging behavioral moments.
That DMD can cause, that prednisone can cause, that being a kid can cause.
Yep.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Because they're going to have, their brains are complex with a few different reasons. We're just trying to get above it so that he can experience his childhood the best he can, the sooner he can. We're here at Seattle to see the Seattle Children's ophthalmologist specifically for Mason's eyes. He has had eye issues for the last 5 years, a wandering eye, and then they're seeing some cataracts form in his right eye, which is a little concerning since cataracts should not be forming because of DMD, and it shouldn't really be forming because of the prednisone due to him only being on it a year. So we're going to try to figure out why that's happening. He seems to rub his eyes a lot. He has one wandering little eye, so hopefully we can, right, Brian?
Yep, get that all figured out.
Get that all figured out. We did get some news on his eye. So with his ophthalmologist appointment, the eye doctor there that was working with our neuromuscular team did confirm that his cataract was due to chronic steroid use. So unfortunately, the prednisone was the cause of his right eye forming a little bit of a cataract. So not to panic. Apparently, this is pretty atypical at his age, only a year and a half in. He really shouldn't be forming cataracts, and they really haven't seen much documentation on getting cataracts this soon. So just unfortunate for us, of course, but good news is we do feel like, let me back up. My personal opinion is that I probably during his gene therapy process, when he was taking, I think it was a triple dose of his steroids for that 12 weeks, was probably the trigger point of that forming for him. Also not really surprising. He is a kid that has had prior eye issues even before our diagnosis, so really not overly surprising. Good thing about cataracts, it's treatable. It is surgically treatable. Once it's surgically removed, it shouldn't form back, or it won't form back because it's an artificial lens. So that's good news. And then also we do feel like, the sooner we get him off prednisone, obviously the sooner that would pause and not get any bigger. So we are pushing for the new anti-inflammatory, which we already got our denial, and we already resubmitted all within a week. So vamorolone, we're still figuring out the name. Vamorolone. Thank you. It's an expensive anti-inflammatory, so it's going to be a fight like all these other treatments, but the sooner we can get them on that, the better, in hopes that that kind of slow down the cataract process and or stops it where it's at, because he will be no longer taking prednisone. So, and then he is a candidate for an alignment surgery with his left eye. His left eye has always wandered a little bit of a lazy eye. She confirmed it's for far distance, so when he's looking far distance, it's kind of hard for it to focus for a few seconds. So he is a candidate for an alignment surgery, which is pretty invasive, outpatient type of surgery in one day. But at this moment, it's not overly dramatic and it's not getting worse. So that's something we'll look more into if it starts to get worse, type of thing. So overall, the trip went really well. We're excited to get the ball rolling on the neurodevelopmental side, what we can do medication wise, what we can do holistically, and then with the eye, just keeping it monitored every 6 months or so. We might patch a little bit just to keep those nerves strong. So that is it. So now Seattle should be wrapping up. The next trip to Seattle will be in March. Yeah, in 6 months. So in 6 months, they want to see an eye follow-up and then an echogram follow-up due to the gene therapy. And then we'll be back in September. So we're excited to close that chapter with Seattle trips for now. We're almost done. Look at those eyeballs.